All right, we are back, and we have Kelly and Tabitha, and this is a talk about women in tech and about a really interesting, boot camp program and a lot of work going on with Galvanize and a previous boot camp which was acquired by Galvanize called Hack Reactor. And so Kelly is a technical evangelist at Galvanize and helps everybody just navigate all the everything involved in getting basically just expanding the brain and learning all this technical stuff. And Tabitha actually graduated from Hack Reactor, then worked at Hack Reactor, and now is at Microsoft doing all kinds of cool stuff. And so I will step off here and let y'all take it away.
Awesome. Thanks, Leroy. Well, welcome, everybody. Thank you so much for coming and tuning into this talk. We are excited to talk a little bit about being women in tech and a little bit about the Hack Reactor software engineering program and kind of our journeys into learning how to code. So if you have any questions or anything, feel free to put them in the chat. We can answer them as we go along, or we can wait until the end of this. But Tabitha?
Yes. Oh, yeah, sorry. So,
you want to give an introduction and introduce yourself?
Yeah, so my name's Tabitha. I'm currently a software engineer at Microsoft since January 2019. But if we count my apprenticeship, I actually started in July 2018. So I currently work in business applications, and I work on Power Platform. And my current team, because Microsoft is so huge, my current team works on application management. So it's like, imagine you're like installing and updating apps on your phone. It's kind of like that, but not for phones. Yeah.
But not.
Yes.
Awesome. And yeah, so so what's your title there, Tabitha?
A software engineer.
Software engineer. Awesome. So and I'll give a brief introduction about me. I'm Kelly Revena. Like Leroy said, I am a developer evangelist at Galvanize and Hack Reactor, but I also previously went through the same program that Tabitha went through, which is how I got introduced to it. So I worked in hospitality and coffee and that kind of thing before, went through our 3-month program, and then became a freelance software engineer before joining Galvanize back again. So it's so exciting to see. Tabitha and I both kind of went through the same, probably not the same journey, but halfway part of learning how to code and transforming the careers. So and then I'll take a quick little second to talk about what Hack Reactor is, if people don't know, and Galvanize. So Hack Reactor, which is now owned by Galvanize, but still the Hack Reactor program, is a 13-week software engineering immersive program, or a boot camp if you've heard about it before. So it's a 3-month intensive program where you learn full stack development, all throughout JavaScript. So we use JavaScript on the front end, the server, and the back end to teach kind of technology agnostic or language agnostic courses. And yeah, so you need to learn a little bit. You'll have to know a little bit of JavaScript beforehand, just because the program goes so quickly and it's so intense. So I help people kind of get into learning how to code and like writing out JavaScript and kind of understanding computer science fundamentals too. So let's see here. So Tabitha, can you tell us maybe like a little bit about your background before you got into software engineering?
Yeah, sure. So that's kind of a long answer. But I actually started as a music major in college, as a violin major. And like I really enjoyed it. I enjoy like playing violin, I enjoy performing, I enjoy, all of it, orchestra. And so I think like one day halfway through college, I kind of just took a hard look around me and at like other music majors who graduated, like this could be like any music conservatory, and saw that they were all like really struggling. And so I decided to go to my career counselor And I remember, so this is like my I think it was my junior year. I went to my career counselor and I was like, I don't know what I want to do with my life. And so she made me, yeah, I literally said, I don't know what I want to do with my life. And so she was like, okay. So she, like, we took a bunch of personality tests, and one of the majors that was on the personality test was like being a computer science major. And I was like, wow, that's actually really crazy because I totally sucked at math and science in high school. I never wanted to look at it again. My whole family does art. Like, my sister's a cello major from San Francisco Conservatory. My mom's a piano major, she's a piano teacher. My great grandpa, like, fun fact, is like has his own Wikipedia page as a World War II artist, which is so crazy, yeah. But it's just like, okay, so like being in tech and math and science is like never like, it's like never kind of in my radar. But okay, so the personality test. So I was like, okay, fine. I'll switch to like Bachelor of Arts in Music and just explore a bit. And so I took my first intro to computer science class in my junior year, and loved it. I was like surprised. I loved it so much. And then I took the next course, which was data structures. And then it was too expensive to switch majors because at that point I avoided math and science so much. So yeah, so after that, so basically after college, I finished in the 4 years I was given. I decided to just do a lot of music things. Between that's really cool. Sorry, let's look at the comments.
Yeah,
Yeah, I was like, oh, okay, yeah, yes. Anyway, so let's see. Okay, so I did music teaching for like 4 years. I like did everything. I performed for like musicals, I don't know, like funerals, weddings, everything. And then my sister was like, why don't you just apply for coding boot camps? And this is like 2016-ish. She was like, why, if you like coding so much, why don't you just apply for coding boot camps? I was like, that's a scam. I was like, that's probably a scam. But little did I know I would eventually end up at Hack Reactor about a year later. I did Hack Reactor in March 2017. And I finished in June, I think. Yeah, and it was like the best decision ever. I'm not paid. Yeah, I'm actually not paid to say this to whoever's listening. I'm not paid to say this. I can confidently say this was the best decision I probably made, aside from accepting my offer at Microsoft up to this point.
And note that I am paid to say this, but also I said this before I was paid to say it. So the same thing. I agree. You know, it's kind of, it seems like it's a hard decision to make because it's, again, investing so much into your education, but it's also kind of you holding yourself back too, where you knew that's kind of what you wanted to do and you kind of just have to go for it, I think. Awesome. Let's see here. Look through the comments here. Do you work with many women, and was there a change from when you started out when you were are now? So maybe let's talk about, so after Hack Reactor, you worked for Galvanize too, and then you came on to IBM. Was that
I went to Microsoft.
Microsoft, sorry.
Yeah.
Was that difficult to like transition from being such in a creative field over to being in such a corporate structure?
That's a good question. No, I think because like because I went through Hack Reactor, so I'm kind of biased. But I think it actually set me up really well for like the corporate structure. Like at least in terms of how teams work. I'm not sure like how what they do now. I haven't talked to Hack Reactor a lot in the past few years. But at the time we would have these team projects, and we would practice like everything that we would use in the actual day-to-day job. So like for example, Git, like I remember like when I went, there were two other new hires that started at the same time as me who one majored in computer science, the other majored in like computer engineering. But I remember like they didn't know how to use Git And like even like just little things like that. So there's that. And I think the projects helped a lot with like knowing like how to prioritize things or like how task boards work. Um, I use React. Oh, so Hack Reactor at the time taught React. I still use it every day. So
Awesome.
yeah, yeah, it's great.
Yeah, and I think one thing, especially for people who are new to what boot camps are and how they work and stuff like that. So just speaking from experience from both of us going through Hack Reactor, but the first 6 weeks really focus on computer science fundamentals, right? So like data structures, how to use JavaScript, all those kind of things that you should know. It's kind of like a CS degree, but teeny tiny, right? And then you'll take a technical assessment halfway through just to make sure that you're on the right path to understanding all these concepts. And then the last 6 weeks, you work on 3 capstone projects with your cohort mates. So the setup now is you'll work on a front end project. So you'll have a 3 to 4 person team, depending on your cohort size, and then you'll work on individual modules in the project. So for mine, for example, we made like an e-commerce site, and then just like Amazon, right, where people write in questions and you can write in answers. I created that module piece by piece. And then we do a back-end project that works on like scaling and optimization, and then a MVP product. So a product, some kind of project that you wanted to build or you might be excited about that you build from the ground up in just a couple of days. So it's kind of another fun project where you might have an idea or something from your background that you want to create, and now 11, 10 weeks later, you actually have the technical skills to build everything, right? So it's not, boot camps are a great way to, I think, learn how to learn, which like in coding, nothing stays the same, right? React was so different from when Tabitha went through this course when I went through 2 years later, but it also taught us how to pick up things really quickly and to learn the basics of a language to then further yourself along in it, right?
Yeah, those are really good points.
Yeah, but yeah, oh, you know, Connie mentioned there's an intersection between music and math, and I totally agree. And seeing it now from my perspective, where I see people come in from all different kinds of backgrounds. There's a lot of music backgrounds, there's a lot of teachers, former teachers. There's a lot of theater artists in New York that I've noticed now that are changing from this creative career over into software engineering. And it's really cool to see, because you might think, especially for women, you might think that you have to have a computer science degree to really become a software engineer, and that's not necessarily the case. So on that note, I think what's a cool way to talk about maybe too is what kind of soft skills or things that you think you brought from your previous experience over to software engineering, other than the technical skills?
Sorry, I was looking at the questions. Sorry. Oh, sorry. I keep getting distracted. So soft skills. That's a good question. I think communication is a really big one. Oh, okay. So because I also taught music, I think because I was a teacher, I was able to convey like how to do things even better. Yeah, I could explain step by step to other people how to do things. But I also think that's a skill that you eventually pick up also as a software engineer, because you have to break down everything and kind of explain things to people. But I think it helped. Especially in like coding interviews. Other soft skills. I can't think of any at the moment. If I think of more, I will bring it up.
It's totally it, right? Like communicating is such a big part of your job, right? Coding could be just a small portion, but talking about the code and teaching about the code and all this is a whole other skill.
I think that's huge. Yeah, and like be able to communicate with customers, like no one will care what you build, like if it's not relevant. Like, yeah.
If they don't
So
understand.
I've definitely noticed that.
Okay, so let's see here. We're about 20 minutes in. Let's talk about your job in general. So we'll answer some of these questions in the chat. So let's start out with, what your typical day sort of looks like, and then we can get into these questions from the audience a little bit.
Yeah, sure. I would say like pre-COVID, I would usually get to the office at 10 a.m. And usually I already have this backlog of items to work on. So I kind of just prioritize what it is. So like, for example, bugs will always take priority. So I'll usually work on bugs first. So this depends on the team, but we also have like Scrum. In my current team, we have Scrum basically every day except for Wednesday. And like, if you know what Scrum is, it's basically like a time of the day where we talk about what we're all working on, and if we have any blockers, and if someone's been hard to get a hold of, you can call them out right there. So your team, usually they're great though. They're usually great. So let's see. So depending on the team also, so my current team has 3 services. So like I said, we have one full stack web app, which I'm in charge of. And then we have 2 other backend services that take care of the behind the scenes application management. But so within my one service, I also have to do this weekly meeting with people who are working with me on the same product. So we do a weekly meeting. And then what else? I have my weekly one-on-one with my manager, where we talk about career goals, if I have concerns, if I have questions. Let's see, what else? And the, like, in my opinion, probably least fun part, we have on-call rotations. And this really depends on the team as well, because we are a customer-facing team. So, so we have on-call rotations, and because my team is currently a team of 8, I'm basically available 24/7 once every 8 weeks. And yeah. Yep. Super fun. But yeah, it's kind of what every day. Super fun to wake up at 3 a.m.
Okay, so Carrie asks, other than React, what programming languages do you use pretty regularly? And then did you know them or did you learn them specifically in this role?
For React. Yes. So because Microsoft is Microsoft, they will use Microsoft everything if possible. So at Reactor, I learned JavaScript. And at Microsoft, they have their own language called TypeScript, which is like, I don't know how much coding y'all know, but basically it's typed JavaScript. JavaScript can get pretty crazy and pretty hard to debug because it doesn't have specific types, like explicitly defined types. But TypeScript makes that a lot easier. So I had to learn TypeScript. My first team was actually an entirely backend team. So we used C#, which is also a Microsoft language. And was it, did I know those languages? Yeah, so you just learn it as you go. But once you know a language, it's not too hard to pick up another language. Yeah.
Can you see like similarities between the two, and you can kind of like map?
Yeah, definitely. Like like JavaScript has built-in methods for like arrays, strings, whatnot, and there's probably a C# version of it somewhere. Where to use it? Yeah.
Awesome. Okay, so then Soya asked, the first one was, do you work with many women? And Was there a change maybe from when you started at the beginning to how many women are working there now?
Okay. So within Microsoft, so within my team, there are not very many women. Every team I've been on, which is 3 teams now, it's always been kind of a minority.
Mm-hmm.
So I said we have 3 women. My first team had 12 people and 3 women. My second team had also, oh wow, this is like 3 to 4 women actually. Microsoft also like within my group we change a lot of teams constantly, but I think on average it's always been 3 to 4 women. So I'm thinking my current team is 3, 3 out of 8. Was there a change from when you started to where you are now?
Or maybe even just overall on the
In
team
general,
that you interact with too.
I want to say no, but this is like specific to the part I work on.
Mhm.
I think because of COVID, we didn't hire very many people. So
Mm-hmm.
just like I felt like I was just seeing the same faces all the time anyway. I try to recall. Actually, yeah. So our newest hire was a college hire, and she was a female. But like, I feel like it's always pretty well balanced. Like,
Mhm.
yeah.
Awesome. And then Soya asks, have you noticed a difference in treatment between you and male counterparts at any point? And was there a different treatment as far as what gender you were compared to working as a music major?
In the tech industry. Okay. I think I'm really fortunate that no, I haven't experienced different treatment, at least within all my teams and within this one subsection. But that said, I mean, I've definitely heard of it happening in like other parts of Microsoft.
Mm-hmm.
Like I remember there was this one time. So I have a friend that works in Xbox,
Mm-hmm.
and she was saying how her manager didn't think that like women were really into gaming because his daughter wasn't into gaming. And I was like, wait, but like shouldn't the problem really be like how do we get your daughter into gaming? Like so I've seen that. In terms of different treatment, I think not okay, it's also not within my team because I think everyone's fantastic. Personality wise. Everyone's great. But I've definitely seen like people thinking that we are like diversity hires possibly and treating us differently because they think we're diversity hires. And that's kind of sucky because then you have to like work harder to like prove that you're not just a diversity hire, and I think that's kind of unfair.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So I
Yeah.
hope that answers the first question. The second question was, is there a different treatment among comparing your time as a music major to being in the tech industry? I will say in my first intro to CS class, there were only 3 women. That was kind of a bummer too. Okay, this is oh my God, this is show how old I am. This was 2011 maybe 2011 2012. So there were only 3 women in my entire intro to CS class. Yeah, so it kind of sucks because like I feel like like sometimes the men would just like be in their own group, and we're not really invited. um, but yeah. Oh yes, yes, Connie. Yes, totally. Um, yes. Um,
Okay, so maybe
yeah.
on the side, what do you think is the best part about being a woman in tech? Or like what can motivate you to keep going? Like what's the best part about being a woman in this field of a male-dominated industry?
Hmm. I think being able to prove someone wrong.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So there's that. That's part of being a woman technically. There's a lot of support groups. Like women who like there's like women who code. There's like that conference I don't know if you've all heard of it. Like Grace Hopper.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
Yeah. So there's Grace Hopper, and it's really cool to be able to share like your experiences and also hear other people's experiences um, in the tech field. And yeah, so I think just having the support group and people who share experiences with you, and also be able to prove people wrong that you can do the job just as just as good as them, if not better.
Even better too, right? Like I think I really,
Yeah.
just speaking from experience again, like seeing so many students come through Hack Reactor from different backgrounds, I think also having a different background gives you such a different perspective on working and figuring out problems, right? So you think of yourself maybe a little bit more big picture, or you have these other skills, and then you also have tech skills. So I think that kind of diversification within the tech industry or engineer teams gives a team an advantage, really, than having particularly really great coders who maybe CS majors, right, that have been coding for so long. But having an outside perspective really gives a well-rounded product.
Yeah, and I will say at Microsoft, okay, so let's see, Galvanize taught like full stack JavaScript apps, but
Mhm.
at Microsoft, because it's such an old company, like a lot of people are actually like really into back-end engineering. So on my floor, maybe there are 4 people who know how to do front-end engineering really well.
Wow.
Yeah, and that includes myself. So that kind of, it also kind of sucks to not be able to, you know, check with other people, like more than 3 other people, if what you're doing sounds right or totally crazy. So yeah, that's a really cool thing about Galvanize. Yeah.
Yeah. Do you like a certain particular, like, do you like front end work or back end work or anything in particular?
Yes. I think I have a preference for the front end. I think. Oh yeah, that's another kind of bias I've noticed. I think a lot of people think that women should do front end. So I personally actually really like it. I like the instant gratification of seeing something I work on show up on the screen. Um, but I think at Microsoft, so I've seen it at other places. At least like from these conferences, talking to people that people think that women should be front end engineers. But at Microsoft, so far, I haven't experienced that. Like, if I wanted to do backend tomorrow, I think my manager would be like, "Okay, you can do that." Like, I'll do what? Oh, maybe not right now. But when I started, I think I could have done whatever I wanted to do. Yeah, they will ask you.
Awesome. That's cool. I agree. I like front end work, but I am particularly not very good at it. Like I love doing more back end stuff, so much more. But I think it is a kind of a bias, not even a bias, but just thinking that women are better at kind of the visual, making things look good sort of thing, right? Are there yeah, I
Yes,
know.
that is true.
Now you're
That is true. That's kind of the secret to keeping your job, being so specialized in something that they can't get rid of you.
exactly. I know.
Yeah.
When I was first learning how to code, I'm like, the same questions that kind of everybody have when you don't even know about code to begin with, right? You're like front end and back end and what's this and that. But I think there is so much value to learning full stack, because then you can kind of see all of the different pieces to the puzzle in a better way. And I really don't think I could comprehend if I only knew front end or only knew back end. So yeah, knowing full stack development is, I think, key.
Yes.
Cool. So we have a couple more minutes. Are there any women in tech groups or resources that you have used particularly that you might recommend to other people?
I think to the public, I think Women Who Code, I think is great. I love the back end. Okay, yes. Anyway, so yes, Women Who Code, um, they've been great. I remember I used to go to their like weekly like coding sessions for data structures and algorithms.
Mhm.
So that's good. I'm trying to think if there's other ones. Within Microsoft, there are obviously women employee resource groups, but I can't share that to the world. I know, I was like, oh, thank you. It's been a while. It's been a while. Customer Alview front end offer is forthcoming. Oh yeah, congrats. Yes, very
Congrats.
cool. Well, that's why I love the front end. I don't. Oh, that's great. That's beautiful. Yes.
Yeah, there's
Oh
tons
yeah.
of Facebook groups.
Oh yes. I don't use Facebook. Sorry, that's why I probably didn't. Never mind.
But yeah, there's
Yeah.
tons of groups. I like, just like Tabitha said, Women Who Code is great. There's lots of like localized groups too. There's tech ladies, which I like a ton.
Oh yes.
Who they're kind of newer, but they do a lot of, I think they do introductory like workshops and things like that, but they also really help at building community of women engineers. So like getting people jobs, being networking, all that kind of stuff. So that's a really good one. And then, okay, so maybe a couple of questions. What advice do you have for women who are interested in becoming engineers? Like, what could you be told about that?
What could I have been told? I think it would have been probably to. Okay, so like in college, I think I was like always like really afraid of failures. Like who isn't afraid of failure? Okay, okay, so let's just get out there. But I think it would be to just not be afraid of taking the risks, and also like if there's setbacks, that's not the end of the world. I will say the job search after Hack Reactor was pretty challenging. And you will get so numb to, or I got so numb to like rejection, but it was worth it. I remember like seeing people around me getting like offers within like months to 3 months, but I think I'm glad I had so many failures and so much practice, because then I wouldn't have ended up like Microsoft was like my first offer after like Hack Reactor. So yeah, I know. So I was like, well, I'm glad I failed like so many times, so I didn't end up there, like end up like anywhere else. Not that anywhere else is bad. It's just like I'm just glad I had the opportunity to like end up here. So I think yeah. Also I think I didn't know what I was capable of until actually trying like these risks. Yeah, and I think I would just say to be like really, really persistent about like whatever you're doing, like yeah, whatever you want to do.
Yeah, I think for me, I need like a why, like something, I need to know a reason why I'm doing things but if I think about that, when things get really hard, when like I can't figure out how to code or can't do this or that, and like I think about where I see myself later and like what I wanted to do, right? That really like kept me going forward. But yeah, rejection. The thing with coding, at least what I've learned, is that you have to fail a bunch of times and get that into your brain, and you don't make the mistake again most of the time. It's so hard, and then you learn from your mistake and then move on and move on and move on.
Yes, for sure. Yeah. Trying to think if there's anything else. I would say also the other thing to do is try it out. Like try out coding. Like I know my sister tried it out and was like, I totally hate this. But like try it out before you commit to it. Like,
Yeah.
Oh, actually, yes. This is also I'm not paid for this advertisement also, but Hack Reactor has this like pre-course program, which I actually used to teach that. So after Hack Reactor for 6 months, I was a TA for this course. I don't know if it's still called like pre boot camp course or something like that. But is it? Yeah, okay. So if you don't know anything about coding, I thought that was a really good intro to see if you will actually enjoy problem solving for a long time. Yeah.
Yeah. So, what do we do? So I teach particularly intro-level JavaScript courses for women. And so we teach like very, very, very basic, what is values, types, operators, kind of all that kind of things. And then we have a prep course. We have a free version, and then we also have a premium version with like live help. But that course is how I started out learning how to code.
Yeah, it's a good course.
Yeah, it's a really good course. It really builds on the different concepts like week by week. So that was really good. But it's similar. I mean, it's similar to like a Udemy course too, right? So if you go through a Udemy course, you can kind of try things out that way. But yeah, the Hack Reactor prep course was finally like the first thing that made it like stick into my brain finally. I tried learning on my own, and then once I kind of like took step by step, I finally figured out what all of this. I remember struggling with for loops for like weeks.
Oh my gosh, I know.
What is this? What am I doing? And I told my mentor engineer friend, and he's like, "You're going to use that anytime you code, so you need to know this." I'm like, I can't figure it out.
Yes, that is so true. It's so true. Yeah.
Awesome. Does anybody else have any questions for Tabitha or anybody?
I will present my manly mug here on the screen. Sorry. And everybody, this is Heather, my wife here, who she's been interacting with Kelly quite a bit, and she's also a software engineer. And I kind of told her, get on here and say something, you know.
I've been hiding in the background through the conference, but it's been fun to see everybody interacting and enjoying the conference. And of course, we thank you, Tabitha and Kelly, for joining us and telling your story.
Of course, super fun.
Perspectives. Heather, why don't you tell a little bit about how you got into engineering and kind of what you do right now, just, you know.
So I am a front-end engineer, and I have been doing it for 12 years now. So I started out with WordPress, and Leroy, of course, is the one who introduced me into web development. He threw me into WordPress, and here I am 12 years later. So I do a lot of JavaScript now and React development. So I have a couple different contracts that I work on, and of course I help Leroy with all his ventures. So
crazy ventures. On screen, and I always start crying when I'm talking to people, you know. No, she's got a really big heart and loves helping people, and this event with all these kids here is just kind of tugging at her heartstrings, you know. She so she starts crying, just know she really has. She loves everything going on here. So, well, cool. Well, we will wrap it up before she starts crying on me here.
okay.
But no, we really appreciate y'all doing this. So,
Of course.
Yeah.
Hope you all enjoy the rest of the conference and the hackathon and everything. It's been such a cool event.
If you have questions, feel free to hit me up on LinkedIn. That's like the only social media I have anymore. So, yeah.
Yeah. I'll put my link.
Sure.
Yeah, that's good.
Love to chat. And let's see here.
Now that was some good stuff where you said you're actually glad you went through all the failures, because then you wound up at Microsoft. You know, it's sometimes failure does breed like these miracles. You know, I mean,
it does. Yeah.
Yep.
For sure.
Well, we really appreciate it, and I will let you get back to hacking. And, but y'all take care. Thank you.
Bye, everyone. Thank you.
Yeah.
Bye.
Yeah.
All right. Well, that was fun. So we'll take a short break and be back here in a little bit.